Greetings! It's Monday, April the 8th, 2024. I'm Chris Elkins. Welcome to the Daily Article Podcast. Today's article is written by Denison Forum co-founder and CEO, Dr. Jim Denison. When an event won't happen again where I live until 2317, of course I'm writing on it today. Total solar eclipses occur every 18 months, but at any given location, it can be centuries between appearances. When the totality occurs this afternoon, the moon will completely cover the sun for about 4 minutes. The temperatures will noticeably drop, and birds and other wildlife will become quiet, changing to their nighttime behavior. They're not alone in responding to today's unusual event. Umbraphiles, meaning shadow lovers in Latin, have booked hotels in my area and across the path of totality for months, if not years. Those traveling to see the eclipse will bring a financial boost of as much as $6 billion to communities across a dozen states. Some will travel up to 30 hours in the air to see the eclipse from the sky. 4 NASA pilots will remain in the path of totality for 7 minutes to observe the eclipse at an altitude of 50,000 feet, one of numerous ways scientists will be studying the events. Product releases tied to the eclipse include donuts, coffee, juices, chips, pizza, chicken, and other restaurant offerings. A 105-year-old man who has witnessed 12 solar eclipses is ready to watch his 13th today. He is aware that this might be his last. He said, "They don't come, but 1 or 2 every couple of years. I may not see any more eclipses." The same is true for you and me. Today's eclipse reminds us of both our Maker's omnipotence and our finitude. We are reminded in Psalm 148, verses 3 and 5, that He created the sun and the moon. We did not. Isaiah 40, verse 22, says that He rules the universe. We do not. From the earthquake that rattled New York City last week to quote-unquote nor'easter that cut off power to hundreds of thousands, to the critical fire threat in the central U.S., to the avalanche that killed 3 people in Switzerland, and the falling tree that took the life of a woman in a storm, we are reminded daily of human frailty. We can't even look at today's eclipse without the right eye protection for our eyes. However, one of the hallmarks of our fallenness is our steadfast attempt to deny our fallenness. When the philosopher Thales predicted a solar eclipse using empirical rather than religious reasoning 6 centuries before Christ, he became known to history as the first scientist. While Thales also called the universe the work of God and claimed that God is the most ancient of things for he had no birth, many who followed in his scientific footsteps have sided with the French mathematician Laplace, who is reputed to have said of God, "I have no need of that hypothesis." Let's not fall victim to the same self-reliant temptation. When humans die, they obviously cannot produce life beyond the grave for themselves. Death is the final, irrefutable proof of the fact that we can do nothing in our own capacity to survive death. The psalmist asked the question facing us all in Psalm 89, verse 48, "What man can live and never see death? Who can deliver his soul from the power of Sheol?" There is only one answer to his question. Here's the problem. The same temptation to self-reliance that keeps secularists from depending on God can keep Christians from depending on His Spirit. When we fall into this satanic deception revealed in Genesis 3, verse 5, our fallen culture pays the price. Why is Christianity declining in popularity and influence in the West? At the same time, it is growing dramatically in the Muslim world, Iran, Cuba, the underground church in China, and other places where it is persecuted so fiercely. Self-dependence amid prosperity robs us of the Spirit's power, and without His power, we cannot convict a single sinner of a single sin or save a single soul. However, spirit dependence amid opposition empowers Christians to be used in transformative ways to change hearts and win multitudes to Jesus. We read in Acts 8, verse 6, that crowds with one accord paid attention to what was being said by Philip when they heard him and saw the signs that he did. It was not just his words, but his Spirit-empowered deeds that persuaded them. The great need of our day is for more Philips. For this reason, let us note today, self-reliance is spiritual and cultural suicide. In response, let us use today's solar eclipse as an invitation to worship the one who made the sun and the moon, and from Isaiah 40 verse 12 measures the universe with the palm of his hand. And from Ephesians 5 verse 18, let us begin today and every day by asking his Spirit to empower and use us to advance his kingdom through our influence. When we do, the Son of God will eclipse the moon of our fallenness and bring us from the shadow of sin into the sunlight of grace. Letitia Ferrer has been chasing solar eclipses around the world for several decades. She's seen 20 in total, and every one since 1998. But she'll never forget the first one in 1991. She said, "It made me feel the majesty of the universe." Her experiences have shown her the immensity of the universe, but also her personal finitude. She says of her eclipse viewing, "I'm the most blessed person in the world, but yet I'm a minuscule little ant." When we understand the latter, we can embrace the former to the glory of God. We're grateful for our podcast listeners. If you find the Daily Article podcast helps you better understand today's news and cultural issues and then respond biblically, please rate and review the Daily Article podcast on the platform from which you subscribe. That helps people find and follow the Daily Article podcast.